Last year, you made a powerful statement saying the reason people are watching women's basketball is not just because of one player, but because of you too. A year later,
That reporter barely even got his question out, but honestly, he didn't need to. With just two simple words, Angel Reese captured the entire state of the WNBA right now and more. Specifically, its tangled, high-stakes relationship with Caitlin Clark. And trust me, that dynamic has just taken a seismic turn. Let me break it down. Caitlin Clark's influence on the league has been nothing short of revolutionary. There's no denying it. She's brought in millions of new fans, packed arenas every single night, and driven TV ratings through the roof. The WNBA is experiencing a level of attention and energy it hasn't seen in years. But here's the shocking part. Instead of fully embracing this surge, the league stumbled in almost unbelievable fashion. Rather than welcoming the Caitlin Clark effect as the massive opportunity it is, some insiders resisted it. They questioned the hype, downplayed her achievements, and in perhaps the most baffling move, mocked her growing fan base. It's as if they saw Caitlin Clark not as a monumental blessing, but as a threat, an attitude that makes zero sense for anyone watching from the outside. And now, with the stakes higher than 9 ever, the consequences of that resistance are becoming impossible to ignore.
WNBA last year, bless their hearts, finally got a star. And they didn't know that. They couldn't figure it out. Well, we don't want to put too much Caitlin Clark on. Nope, every game. More Caitlin Clark all the time. Always. Caitlin Clark is easily the most influential athlete in a team sport.
All the buzz, the mainstream attention, the non-stop headlines, the arenas packed to the rafters night after night. For decades, the WNBA had dreamed of this exact moment, and now, finally, it was here. They had the spotlight, the cultural breakthrough, and the superstar to lead the charge. They were on the verge of attracting serious revenue, securing higher salaries, and capturing global attention. But there was one key detail that changed everything. Caitlin Clark was at the forefront. For many of the league's established stars, this wasn't a victory, it felt like a setback. Caitlin claiming the spotlight wasn't just an unexpected twist. For some, it represented the death of a long-held dream. The dream that they themselves would be the ones to elevate the league, collectively. And perhaps the hardest truth to accept was that after years of hearing that fans supposedly didn't care about women's basketball, the fans were finally showing up just for Caitlin. As Diana Taurasi put it, there's levels to this thing. And she's right. Watching the reaction from players in the media has been like watching the stages of grief play out in real time. Denial, frustration, anger, the full spectrum. It's been messy, it's been painful, and honestly, it hasn't reflected well on the league. But then something shifted. A seemingly ordinary moment ended up flipping the entire narrative. Now, the WNBA knows what's coming, and they're scrambling to align themselves with the inevitable. Before we dive into exactly what happened, do me a favor, hit that like button if you're ready to. See the WNBA finally recognize Caitlin's impact, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's take a step back. This isn't just about one player, it's about the force she's become. By this point last season, Caitlin Clark had completely redefined the landscape of the league in the eyes of at least half its players. She didn't just arrive, she detonated the scene. Consider this, she single-handedly tripled viewership numbers. She packed NBA-sized arenas for regular season games. Her jerseys were flying off shelves. Every Indiana Fever matchup became unmissable. Fans queued for hours just to catch a glimpse, and ticket scalpers were charging playoff-level prices for games that, in the past, might have struggled to sell out. It was a phenomenon the WNBA had never seen, and it was all because of Caitlin Clark.
Why we watching women's basketball, it's not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize.
The jealousy was palpable, simmering long before Caitlin Clark ever stepped onto a professional court. The hype surrounding her wasn't just big, it was generational, in the truest sense of the word. She had just broken the NCAA all-time scoring record for both men and women. She carried the Iowa Hawkeyes to back-to-back national championship games. Every arena she entered sold out, and her long-range shots seemed effortless, like layups. Then came the WNBA draft. There was no suspense, no shockers. It was essentially a coronation. Caitlin Clark was the clear, undisputed #1 pick, but she was more than a Draft pick, she was the moment. The cameras flashed constantly, media coverage flooded in, and sponsors lined up around the block. And that's where things started to get messy. The league had seen elite players before A'ja, Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart, MVPs, champions, stars of their own right, but none of them entered the WNBA under this kind of earth-shattering spotlight. And for some veterans, that sting was real. This is where the first stage of grief hit: denial. It wasn't just polite skepticism, it was outright resistance. The established players, the media, even some executives jumped in immediately to downplay her arrival, insisting it wasn't as monumental as it clearly was. You could see the cracks forming long before she even took the court.
We say her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
The reality of what's happening is unavoidable. If Caitlin Clark had stepped into the league and struggled, or even just been average, the veterans would have had their vindication. Their perfect "I told you so" moment would have written itself. College is one thing, but the WNBA, that's a whole different level. You don't just stroll in and dominate the women who built this league. The hype would have fizzled, media attention would have shifted elsewhere, and the old guard would have felt completely justified. But we both know that didn't happen, not even close. From her very first professional game, she drew an astonishing 2.1 million viewers, the most watched WNBA game in over 20 years. And it didn't stop there. Every game she played sent ratings soaring. She was on national broadcasts, performing in front of packed arenas, while her jerseys flew off shelves everywhere. Caitlin wasn't just stepping into the spotlight, she was seizing it, dominating it, and redefining the entire league. And that's exactly when the next stage emerged. Stage 2, raw, unfiltered anger.
Caitlin's coming. There's more than just that are coming. What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP.
Once it became undeniable that Caitlin Clark's pull wasn't fading no matter the eye rolls, the critiques, or the attempts to downplay her, the league moved into damage control. But this wasn't PR behind the scenes. This was happening on the court. Whether intentional or not, the physical pushback began immediately. Opponents took liberties, punishing screens, cheap off-ball hits, and a constant barrage of unnecessary contact. And the progressiveness big. Referees? For the most part, they stayed silent. The pattern was impossible to miss. The message was clear. Let her take the hits, let her get frustrated, make her question if she action belongs here. If the hype won't fade naturally, we'll try to grind it out physically. Game after game, it took a toll. Caitlin looked worn out, bruised, mentally taxed, but she didn't break. She didn't fold. Instead, she got stronger. After the Olympic break, she returned playing the best basketball of her life. MVP-level performances, leading the Indiana Fever to wins, breaking the rookie assist record, making first-team All-Star. It was undeniable. The hype wasn't just real, it was unstoppable. And that's when stage 3 kicked in, bargaining. This is when people try to rationalize a reality they can't control. They negotiate with themselves, with others, trying to explain it in a way that protects their pride, status, and sense of control. Because let's be honest, the veterans had lost something significant. Caitlin had stormed the league, and suddenly, the spotlight wasn't on them anymore, it was entirely on her. And when that happens, the instinct isn't just to step back, it's to rewrite the story.
Last season. Clark, hammer. 3 Sky players coming over. Here's Clark for 29 points, gets tripped up.
Is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
They knew better than to attack Caitlin Clark head on. Everyone understood that would have backfired spectacularly. Instead, they targeted everything and everyone around her. Her fans came under fire. The media got blamed. According to this new narrative, Caitlin wasn't the problem everyone else was. The story they pushed painted her as receiving special treatment. Her fans? Supposedly not. Real WNBA fans. And the subtext was clear. If you supported Caitlin Clark, it wasn't because of doxing, her talent, or hard work. It was something else entirely. Never mind that she was leading the league in assists as a rookie, a feat almost unheard of. Forget that she was drawing record-breaking crowds and bringing unprecedented attention to women's basketball. none of that seemed to matter. According to this distorted storyline, her Sade R, success wasn't about her undeniable skill or historic impact. It was about imagined bias.
It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. So last night we read Time magazine where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover?
The one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, but she was a white girl from the middle.
It's the classic playbook, isn't it? Repeat a falsehood often enough, shout it loud enough, and eventually people stop questioning it. That's exactly what happened here. A sizable portion of Klain, the basketball world, was convinced that Caitlin Clark wasn't truly talented, that her success was just dumb luck. But if anyone thought this narrative would finally quiet the Caitlin Clark effect, they were dead wrong. One by one, top-tier veterans began signing with the Indiana Fever. And we're not talking about players taking any roster spot just to stay in the league. These were champions with options. Dana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sydney Colson women with championship rings, proven pedigrees, and they all had the same goal: to play in Indiana. Not just for the coach, not just for the system, but specifically for Caitlin Clark. Not long ago, influential media voices like Cheryl Swoops painted Indiana as a team nobody wanted to join. Even Diana Taurasi has spoken about those old rumors. But that narrative has completely crumbled. Indiana isn't just another destination anymore, it's the destination. And once that realization hit, the floodgates opened in a way no one could have ignored.
Caitlin is fantastic, and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA. There are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced.
First came the arena upgrades. Entire games were moved to bigger venues, and not because of playoffs, all-star lineups, or league gimmicks. It was for one reason: Caitlin Clark. Teams that normally played in smaller college-sized gyms suddenly had to book massive NBA arenas. The demand wasn't optional. If Caitlin was coming to town, you needed every extra seat you could get. Then came the national broadcasts. Out of Indiana Fever's 44 regular season games, an astonishing 41 were set to air on national TV. This wasn't just exposure, it was total market domination. Networks weren't hedging their bets. They were all in, putting Caitlin Clark front and center almost every single night. And it got even more insane during the preseason. One exhibition game, no standings, no playoff implications, sold out a 15,000 seat arena. Let that sink in. Fans were paying hundreds of dollars just to watch her warm up. The hype wasn't just real, it was rewriting what it means to Portis. Follow women's basketball.
For the first time in history, WNBA games will be played in the United Center. The Chicago Sky will host the Indiana Fever at the UC on Saturday, June 7th, and on Sunday, July 20th.
By this point, the Caitlin Clark effect could no longer be ignored. This wasn't hype. It wasn't some clever PR stunt. This was hard data, serious revenue, and unstoppable momentum. For many players across the league, the reality hit hard, and in a way they hadn't expected. Their own teams weren't the center of attention anymore. The excitement, the ticket sales, the marketing push, it all revolved around Caitlin's presence. Promotions spiked whenever the Fever were in town. Broadcasters knew it, sponsors knew it, fans knew it. And amidst the sold-out arenas, the non-stop media coverage, and the complete shift in league energy, something began to sink in for the players themselves: acceptance. And with that acceptance came a new stage conversation. Players finally started speaking openly about peace, what was happening, and acknowledging the undeniable impact of Caitlin Clark.
Average reported ticket price was $650. Now, if you do the math here and you do 15,000 people times $650, that is almost $9.75 million just for a WNBA preseason.
Has the media coverage been flawless? Absolutely not. Far from it. Snubs still happen, double. Standards are still glaring, and there are plenty of commentators more interested in tearing her down than celebrating her achievements. But slowly, undeniably, the narrative is changing. The same outlets that once questioned every move Caitlin Clark made are now running full-length features highlighting her leadership, relentless work ethic, and monumental impact on the game. Even some of the players who were once openly skeptical are starting to give her real, honest credit, not just a begrudging "she's good," but a genuine acknowledgement that she is. Transforming the sport. And all of this builds to one defining moment. Caitlin Clark's homecoming, the event that truly cemented her status and left no doubt Caitlin isn't just a star, she's a game changer.
Yes, have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team? No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has more television games? I think we have to understand that when one player eats, we all eat. And as we all get more opportunities, it just opens it up for everyone else.
Caitlin Clark a problem, bro.
Yeah, see that.
I just think about my rookie year and I think about how I came into the league and I'm like, bro, it was such a crazy transition for me to just understand what it's like to play at the pro level. And it's like this girl coming in as a rookie and going she broke the record for assists. I don't think people really understand how crazy that is to do as a rookie your first year doing this. But that's another episode. Shout out to Caitlin, bro.
The plays that she was making still, despite all that, was insane. But people were so caught up in the logo threes and the 20 3-point attempts per game, which absolutely I understand that. It was so much fun to watch. But I always said she could potentially be one of the best point guards to ever play in the WNBA.
Over 1.3 million people tuned in to watch that preseason exhibition on TV. And it wasn't just the packed arena or the incredible turnout that made it remarkable. What made it truly historic was the context, the comparison. That viewership didn't just top WNBA preseason numbers, it even outperformed games from other established professional leagues. But it wasn't just about the millions watching from home, it was about what Caitlin Clark did. Under that intense spotlight, she didn't falter, she didn't shy away, she thrived. Every move, every shot, every pass was amplified because she knew exactly why all those eyes were on her, and she delivered.
Fans filed outside in droves, getting ready at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and watch parties all around Iowa City. Everybody wants to catch a glimpse of Iowa's favorite daughter, Caitlin Clark.
With every eye in the arena fixed on her, Caitlin Clark dribbled up the court and, without hesitation, drained a three-pointer from the exact spot where she had shattered the NCAA all-time scoring record. This wasn't just a basket, it was a statement, a message. The fans went absolutely wild because this moment transcended basketball. It was entertainment, storytelling, theater, a flawless full-circle moment executed with perfect timing. Caitlin knew exactly where she stood, what that spot symbolized for everyone watching, and how to create a moment that no one would ever forget. Every detail was intentional, every second memorable. It was pure magic on the court.
For Brazil, here's Clark. Wow! Wnba from beyond the logo!
And when it comes to giving the fans exactly what they came for, even the Brazilian national team couldn't resist getting swept up in the moment. After the exhibition game ended, they didn't just shake hands and leave like usual. Instead, they swarmed Caitlin Clark, smiling, laughing, and snapping selfies like they were meeting Michael Jordan himself. And honestly, you could tell that in their eyes. That's exactly who she was, a global icon, a true superstar of the sport, someone whose impact transcended borders.
I think one of the things I love about Caitlin the most is her understanding and willingness to meet the moment and do the thing that she knows everyone wants her to do.
She knows what the people.
She broke the record making that shot to begin with. There's just a certain star quality and star power there. But it takes you being confident enough, willing enough to be oh, no. I know what you want. Come here. I'm going to give it to you. I loved it so much. I just think it's great. I love when athletes have that, bring the cameras right over here.
Well,
it's so fun.
I mean,
This was the ultimate moment. The arena packed to capacity, 1.3 million viewers glued to their screens at home, and even her opponents swarming her for autographs after the final buzzer. We live in a world of sound bites and snapshots where perception often drowns out reality. But in this moment, for the first time, the visuals matched the truth. Everyone in basketball already knew the numbers, broadcast schedules, arena upgrades, merchandise sales, non-stop media, coverage. But this was different. This was the instant the illusion shattered the idea that this league, a moment, was about anyone but Caitlin Clark. Finally, the world saw it for what it really was. She was the center of it all.
It is clear that she is having her freaking Michael Jordan moment.
The players, the media, the analysts, suddenly everyone was noticeably more pro Caitlin Clark than they had been just weeks before. And why the sudden shift? It's simple. After that preseason with sold-out arenas, record-breaking ratings, and the magnetic energy she brought to every venue, her status was no longer a question. It wasn't up for debate. It had become an undeniable fact. Caitlin Clark was the centerpiece, the driving force, and the undeniable star of the league. And then when the offseason stories start coming in, everything suddenly makes sense. Caitlin Clark wasn't just riding a wave of fame handed to her, she was outworking absolutely everyone. While most players were easing into the offseason, she was flying from high-profile appearances to major speaking engagements, meeting with NFL owners, and even making a stop at the Masters. Yet somehow she still showed up at the gym at 8 a.m. Sharp the very next morning every single time. No excuses, no skipped workouts, no signs of burnout. This isn't just discipline, this is legendary level work ethic straight out of the Kobe Bryant playbook.
1.3 million people watched it on ESPN. 1.3 million people. Let me put that in perspective, just between us. No NBA preseason game has had that audience in the last 7 years. Only 2 preseason games in the NBA have had that audience in the last 15 years. More people watched this preseason game than game 1 of last year's WNBA finals. No MLB spring training game has ever come close. The most is when 912,000 people watched the Yankees-Phillies, and that was 20 years ago. 1.3 million people watched Caitlin Clark.
And with that, the game changed.
The favorite to win MVP, should she be?
Yeah, I think so. When you talk about Caitlin Clark, she averaged 19 points, 8 assists. I love that you're counting for me. I need you to count out loud. 19 points, 8 assists last season, but had an even better finish to the season after the All-Star break, after the Olympic break. She lit it up. What did she average? 12 assists during that time? She now has more pieces around her, more teammates she can get the ball to, and she had a full off season.
It is a balance, but she's a generational talent. No league's ever about one player, but in this case, Caitlin brought tens of millions of new viewers into the W, and there's no denying that impact. Not just in the WNBA, but the world of sports. Adam and I talk all the time about she's the most popular athlete in America.
The Caitlin Clark we see today is bigger, stronger, fully primed to dominate this league. Her body is built to handle the relentless professional grind. Her court vision and decision making are sharper than ever, and her confidence under the brightest lights has only grown. She's no longer just adjusting to the WNBA, she's preparing to take it over completely. And the haters? Some are scrambling to get ahead of the story, showering her with praise. Others are simply conceding silently, acknowledging the undeniable truth. That sting of not being the center of attention, that's what this entire saga really boils down to. It affects every player differently. Some vent their frustration openly, others go quiet. A few, like Sophie Cunningham, recognized it early and embraced it. But no matter how you slice it, the moment has officially arrived. The evidence is everywhere. The magnitude of her impact is impossible to ignore. That preseason game in Iowa? It wasn't just hype. It was the powerful rebirth of the Caitlin Clark effect, and this time, it's only going to grow bigger. If you made it all the way to the end, drop a trophy emoji in the comments. You earned it. Thanks for watching.